Welcome back to another edition of Bitter-Swede Garage. So today, I'm trying to figure out, what I really want to work on. There's just so many things to choose from in here. So I thought I would work on the window crank. So currently the window crank is not cranking. So I'm going to take this camera and stick it up underneath there so you all can see what's going on. The next project, I thought I was going to work on the heater core down here, or I should say the heater. And, it's going to be 115 degrees here in about 2 months in Southern California, so I'm not too concerned about having heat. But let me show you what's going on underneath the dash. All right, it's gonna get a little wonky here. Bear with me. I'm gonna try to get up underneath here and see what's going on in the innards. So I don't know if you can see, but let me just jam the camera up there. That little guy right there. So it's basically just a simple gear that has some teeth on it, and as you spin it, it extends the windshield. However, I think that the teeth are worn down or missing. So let's try to get that thing out and take a look at it. Let's see here. Guesses. 1/2 inch. I know you can't see how I'm laying, but it's basically a contortionist method. And it is not 1/2 inch. There'll be lots of grunting during this video. Let's try 7/16. Because this is an American vehicle. Back to it. Let's see if this is the correct size. And we have success. How I'm going to be able to get that out, I'm not sure. By the way, if you have a set of these Craftsman pass-through socket sets, very handy. Especially if you have a long bolt and you got to go over the end of the bolt to get the nut off. These work great. And, it's super comfortable because I don't have a seat, so I'm basically balancing on a 4x8. It's great, great, great. Okay, I'm hoping it's only 2 bolts. I just realized one problem I might run into is the bolt just spinning on the other side. Now, if you've got one of these forks laying around, works as a windshield prop. Just putting it out there. Let's see if I can get my peepers down in there without cutting my head off. There goes the fork. Thankfully, my back saved my life. I can't tell. I think actually the nut's on this side. The flathead is on the other side. So that's nice. I may have to take the whole dash off. Great. Fantastic. All right, so got the smallest flathead screwdriver that I could find. I'm hoping that I can hold one end of the screw while undoing the nut. This ought to be fun. The right thing to do would be take the dash off, but I don't feel like doing that. And 6 hours later, I'll probably change my mind. But for now, I'm going to try to get back underneath this dash and get that nut off. See how it goes. Okay, so this screwdriver is too big. She's not going to fit. Man, that's frustrating. The unfortunate thing, there's not a whole lot keeping this thing on. I might be able to get my finger, maybe my thumb, by blocking the angle here, kind of. Actually, it seems to be working. My fear is I'm going to get towards the end of the bolt and not be able to hold on to it whilst it twists the flesh off of the end of my thumb. Why do we work on vehicles the weirdest positions possible. Great. Is that all? Yes, that's all that holds this thing up. Maybe if I put some tension on it. You know, I also recommend goggles because I'm dumping about 80 years of dust down into my eyeballs. Well, let's see. How does one... Maybe if I jam the screwdriver in there between the two surfaces, that will keep the bolt still. Let's try that. All right, I should have done this in the first place. I'm gonna put a little PB blaster on here, and hopefully it doesn't drip right back down into my eye socket. Squeeze. So far, so good. It's always nice to avoid the eye damage when possible. Well, it's a good thing that the good Lord gave us spare parts, you know? Gave us 2 lungs, 2 kidneys, only 1 spleen. Guess you don't need that. All right, so let me get the wrench on there and see if it loosened up at all. All right, we're gonna try the back of the head on the brake. And then hopefully I can loose. Oh, that's on tighten. Let's not do that. Put back on roll loosen. And that's not working. All right, so I've come up with something. Hopefully it's not too long, but I just stuck a flat bit tip into a socket and it's got some ridges on it, so hopefully I can hang on to it. And let's see if this works. Back into position. I'm probably going to drop this at least 3 times. For Pete's sake. Well, I can't even feel the bolt. That's not working. I thought it got a little looser, but maybe not. All right, time for me to get a headlamp. Oh, it's amazing. I can actually see what I'm doing. Not sure why I didn't do this before. I don't know if you can tell, but my homemade bent screwdriver is just getting spun off. I think the actual issue is going to be the splines on that gear are worn off. And not sure if that's going to work. And I think that's like a pewter metal, so it's not like I can bend it. The frame, at least. All right, I figured out if I press my thumb even harder, I got the screw to come somewhat off. So I'm going to try to put like a piece of rubber on the screw head while I pinch it with my thumb. See if I can get... Alright, I finally got the nut off enough to where I could get pliers on the other side, of the bolt, to get the nut off. This is the gear I'm looking at. Looks a little worn, but I think the problem's actually right here. If you look, this is a little gapped. See how it moves in there? That's why it's not, or that's why it's getting jammed up. I mean, it will spin, but then it'll get jammed up because that metal's bent. So, what to do about that? All right, I got my little handy vise here. This is the only torch I have at the moment. All right, so I gave her a couple of whacks and less gap now. Here's that clutch head bolt I was telling you about. And I went ahead and bought the clutch head tip. It's amazing how much better that works. Right tool for the right job. Anyway, She spins okay. I mean, it's a little tight, probably because of the whacking, but she's spinning. All right, I've successfully been able to get the bolts back in. It does have lock washers, so they should tighten up fine. Give you an idea how this works. Twist on the handle, and that moves. Much better motion now that it's repaired. All right, let's see if I can figure out how this blade thing goes into here. I know the end of it bolts to the end of the windshield here. I think the metal's supposed to bend down as it goes in, which is why it's flexible. So now I gotta figure out why it's jamming. All right, I think I got it. Just had to bend the end of it down just a little bit to make that first curve. And now she goes in. And then if you twist this way, it comes out. All right, so let's hook up the windshield and see if it works. All right, moment of triumph. Look at that action. Fan-freaking-tastic. I'm not sure how fast you want to go down the highway with it open like that, but you know, when it's 115 degrees here in Ridgecrest, California, that'd be nice to have this. The next thing will be this vent, because she's a little jammed up. Maybe just needs some PB blaster, but anyway, very excited that this works. Now I just need to find a little tip that goes to this. Boom. Well, it had to happen. It's the end of the episode. We really appreciate your support. We're up to almost 500 subscribers, so keep watching. We'll have more content soon.